On the 23rd is when the Iranian retaliatory attack came against US. They were continuing to strike the Israeli cities, but this is when they attacked the US Air Base in Qatar. It was supposed to be in retaliation to its 3 nuclear sites being attacked, but this was largely symbolic in nature, viewers, simply because the attack had already been forewarned. Qatar was forewarned, which went ahead and informed America much in advance, which was able to pull out most of its strategic assets from one of its most important core bases in Qatar. It's one of the forward bases of US Central Command. Qatar has been hosting that since 1996. It has also pumped billions of dollars there. So this is a very large forward base of the US in Middle East, which was attacked. But because of the forewarning, it was largely symbolic, which is why, quickly, the last thing that came in, which is that Trump announced ceasefire. Hours after that attack is when the ceasefire really came into play. It was announced suddenly by Donald Trump. Many asked, was this premature? Was this premeditated? Well, questions that remain unanswered. But that's the broad timeline of the 12-day war, viewers, in terms of what really happened, the sequence of events that had brought the world to a possible brink of a potential escalation that could engulf not just the Middle East, but the wider area, maybe even the entire world. And as we talk about this, I want to now play out this ground report that's been filed by my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who's on ground, who is in Israel, covering this war, covering every detail of it. And he's talking about how air sirens are still being heard across Israel, even as we keep talking about this ceasefire here. Listen into that ground report.
There were some interceptor fragments which in fact fell at a few places which have been reported by the local media. The third one came just about 10 minutes before the fourth one, just about 10 minutes. All right, as I speak, you can hear the air raid sirens going in, so I will have to make my way towards a shelter. This is the fourth time that these air raid sirens have gone in. And we will try and make our way out and see if we can find us a safe place. This is the fourth time the air sirens have gone out here in Tel Aviv and Israel. Thank you so much. So fourth alert here, and you heard the sirens going behind me while we were trying to speak. I am in a place where I could... all right, this is the announcement being made. Listen into. So this announcement basically saying make your way to the safe area, and at this moment I can tell you that this is the fourth air raid siren that went off when you heard the massive air raid sirens that just began to in fact blare here in Tel Aviv as well. I have lost the connection to the studio. I'm hoping that I can get connected again because the signal here in the safe room are extremely bad. Okay, again we can hear some loud thuds. It seems that interceptors are on the job. There are some missiles which have been lobbed towards Tel Aviv, at this moment I can only tell you that this is from the time I've come in, it's the third day now, and I have never seen in the last 3 days, 12th day of the war, how continuously barrage after barrage of missiles is coming in from Iran. There were alerts, yesterday also when the alerts came in, one was at 3 a.m. in the morning, the other one then was at 10:30 a.m. In the morning, but there was some gap. Right now, in just a matter of last 1 hour, there have been 4 alerts, and once again, this is the third time in Tel Aviv that I can hear massive thuds which are taking place right outside. It seems that the interceptors at this moment are working, but very, very difficult situation as we speak.
All right. While the truce tango continues, there are questions that are being asked about how does this add up with a symbolic Iranian strike on Qatari base, followed by a ceasefire announcement that happened almost in a matter of hours. Let's put out those big questions that we'll get our experts to answer for us, and questions that are being now asked around the world. First and foremost, now as the ceasefire now comes into effect, it's expected to till about 7 p.m. Israeli time is when it is being given that time period with window by Israel. Will this now mean that talks will once again start? Will diplomacy be given a shot? That's the first key question that we are asking. Next, will this ceasefire actually hold? Will peace hold in this region? Right now, Israel has said that they're going to see till 7 p.m. today. And remember, even during the ceasefire window that Iran was given that 12 hours, there were these massive strikes that came in from the Iranian side. Next, what really happens to the Iranian nuclear program? The premise of these strikes was the Iranian nuclear program. What happens to that and what is the status there? And last and equally important, which is that is Trump really a peacemaker or is he a peace prize chaser? Remember, there's been a lot of anticipation about how Donald Trump deserves Nobel Prizes because he's going around shutting and closing wars and he's bringing about peace. And we told you about the timeline here. Just hours after that symbolic attack on the American Air Base in Qatar was this announcement of a ceasefire. Let's connect the dots. Let's kind of get our guest to join us for more on this. James Dorsey, who's a journalist and a Middle East expert, joins us on the broadcast, along with Professor Jangid, who is also an adjunct faculty at the Ben Gurion University in Israel and also here at the OP Jindal University. All right, James Dorsey, let me start with you. How do you see things right now in terms of the situation on ground? There is fluidity, but the questions that we are asking, let's take them one by one. Do you see the fire actually holding out?
I think this is a very, very fragile halt to the hostilities. I think one's got to be careful to call it a ceasefire. Let's keep in mind that Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu call it a ceasefire. The Iranians don't. As far as the Iranians are concerned, they are holding to the position that they had from the beginning of this round of hostilities, which was we will stop when the Israelis stop. If the Israelis stop and call it a ceasefire, that's fine with them. But as far as they're concerned, there's no ceasefire as such. There's a halt to the hostilities. Second of all, we don't know if there are any conditions or terms attributed to the ceasefire. Whether it will hold will very much depend on a number of factors. First of all, whether or not you get a return to the negotiations. Return to the negotiations is going to be difficult because the Iranians are not going to return to the negotiations on Trump's terms, which are basically a surrender. Moreover, it depends on what the Iranians do. I think one can
what Iranians will do? I'll tell you what, Mr. Dorsey, you're speaking about what Iranians will do. There is breaking news coming in. And let's put that out right now for our viewers. So, that there is breaking news coming in, that there are more missile strikes that are taking place. That's what Iranians are doing. We were talking about whether or not this fragile peace framework may actually hold. And you mentioned how it's being called a ceasefire only on one side, which is the Israeli side and not on the Iranian side. But update coming in is that the IDF says that sirens has been sounded in northern Israel and missiles have been fired from Iran. So, Mr. Dorsey, what are we really talking about here? What framework of peace are we really even now hoping to stand out?
I obviously haven't seen the last news.
No, sir, this just came in. This is coming in right now during the broadcast.
I have no doubt about its accuracy, and I think you've got your answer. If the Iranians are firing after there was an agreement or an understanding to halt the firing, then obviously they don't see a halt to these hostilities. We don't know whether that was unprovoked, provoked. I have no idea, so it's very hard to judge. But it is clearly a demonstration of just how fragile whatever agreement there may or may not be, and the fact that it already is being violated.
Professor Kinraj, come in there. We're talking about, well, the first question we were asking was whether this peace, this fragile peace framework is actually going to stand or not. Within just hours, we seem to be getting not very encouraging response.
Namaskar. It is actually holding well, I must say. I'm in Tel Aviv. As Ankit, your colleague, was showing, those were the sirens that happened here from 4:30 in the morning till about 7 o'clock. In fact, I was sleeping in a shelter room, which looks like a bedroom. It's not like a bunker or a tunnel. And after 7, there has been a complete halt of sirens. What you just read out seems to be the news also in the Israeli media at the moment, that there was a one missile launched in the north. But the statement of the Iranian leaders, as well as the statement of the Netanyahu in Tel Aviv, have agreed to the peace, agreement. I mean, ceasefire agreement. I personally think that this is something that Iran needed as much as America needed. I'll tell you, a day before yesterday, Israeli leaders told Iranians that we will wrap up our operation in few days. And I think it was Trump's ultimatum to Netanyahu to stop it. So I think Trump exercised some amount of leverage over Israel, and Iran really needed a way out. Let's understand this. A few years back, when Soleimani was assassinated, Iranians also carried the ballistic missiles on the American camps with with ample amount of information given beforehand, and this is exactly what they did in Qatar. So it gives them a public face, it gives a respectful exit for the regime in Iran, and I think this is what precisely they did yesterday. That they informed Qatar, and Americans were informed. In fact, Israelis were informed.
Indeed, the off-ramp that was offered to the Iranian regime to be able to come out of the present conflict without actually succumbing to the domestic political constituencies there as well. The other question that I want to ask both of you, which is, well, before I come to Donald Trump and his aspiration here, whether it is about peace or whether it's about price, we're going to come to that in a bit. I want to then talk about the nuclear program. The premise of the entire conflict reaching what it was. The whole 12-day war was because the nuclear program continues unabated. James Dorsey, your thoughts on, do you see that now being brought back on the negotiating table?
Again, as I stated earlier, the Iranians want negotiations. The Americans want negotiations. The problem is that in the last 5 rounds, you've had very different concepts of what constitutes a negotiation. If that difference in concept of negotiations, with other words, Trump's tone and his basic attitude which is, I'm telling you what you're going to do, you're going to do it, and if you don't do it, you now know what's going to happen. That's not going to work. I think the further issue here is that you are going to, clearly the Israelis and the Americans have severely damaged the Iranian nuclear program. We don't know how damaged it is. We also don't know how damaged the Iranian ballistic missile arsenal is. But you can bet on it that the Iranians will resume their nuclear program. They will rebuild it, and they will continue to manufacture ballistic missiles.
Okay.
So unless you have a negotiation that really is aimed at coming to a equitable solution,
Okay.
you're going to see this halt to hostilities break down.
Okay, so we haven't heard the last of this, but have you heard the last of Trump's prize aspirations? Professor Kinraj, let me ask you that. Donald Trump and his aspiration for Nobel Peace Prize, many believe that seems to be the one that's driving how he wanted a ceasefire just hours after that attack.
I think his temptation will be really fulfilled if he recognizes the Palestinian state and now calls Israel to end the war in Gaza immediately, which he is capable of doing. The point is, will he really pull the Israel into that change of policy? As far as the nuclear program is concerned, it's a wicked problem in international relations. What Iran is doing is what India did. India went nuclear under American sanctions.
Right.
In fact, if you look at the Indian vocabulary against the NPT, it's exactly the language that Iranians have been using, calling it a nuclear apartheid system. Western world was extremely unfair and remains unfair with their privileges of having the weapons and forbidding the others.
Right.
Personally think what is working for Trump for this ceasefire is the
Yes.
fact that Trump went to this war having the lowest public support for this Iran war.
Indeed.
There was a survey, and less than 20% Americans supported Trump involving in Iranian issue.
Yes.
In fact, some of his billionaire friends and tech friends who are part of the Make America Great Again,
Yes.
they advised him, don't do it. Now, he did the attacks because this was something that was needed. And I do think that Iranian nuclear program was reaching an aggressive messaging as well as explicit threats to the Israeli state. Now that the nuclear program is done, let's
Yes.
think of it. He's not interested in a regime change, even when he said it loosely
Yes.
twice. And Israelis realized it. In fact, there was an interesting report 2 days back in Israel, by the way. IDF released a report for the Israeli Security Cabinet saying that the 10 days of the war has not shaken the regime domestically. What
Right.
Israel anticipated that there would be a huge public uprising against the
Absolutely.
regime. That didn't happen. So I think Israelis as well as Americans realized they cannot go for a regime change.
They cannot
The
go for a
world
regime
will turn
change.
against them.
Absolutely. All
Trump
right.
needs to get back to his Make America Great Again project,
All
and
right.
that he do if Middle East goes for a war. But as far as the Nobel Prize is concerned,
No
he
one
will for
knows.
sure get it if he gets the Palestinian issue back on the track.
All right, I'm going to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on this edition of India Global. Well, viewers, the bottom line, as far as this issue is concerned, is that now that the Israel-Iran conflict seems to hopefully be nearing its end, questions do remain as far as the truce pact is concerned. How was it ratified? US has had pushed for a ceasefire owing to Trump's campaign promise of not entering a conflict. He needs to keep his MAGA constituency happy. Twice he's campaigned for not entering a Middle East war. He could not have possibly entered one himself, which is why a ceasefire was important. Second was his aspiration for a Nobel Peace Prize. He was nominated by the Pakistanis, but the Pakistanis themselves now are debating whether Trump was worth it or not. So he needed someone else to nominate him for, and that was this war. It had to come to an end, and which is why this could be another reason why Donald Trump announced a ceasefire so early. Is that going to be the situation on the ground? Will the peace actually hold out, or will conditions once again lead to some sort of a contest or a conflict from here on? No one knows. On that note, viewers, if we slip into a quick break, we come back with more news on the other side. Stay with us.
Whether you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later, and pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
Let's play. Someone here is about to find out they've won Lotto, but who's the millionaire going to be? Maybe that guy, wondering, are crackers with the biscuits or the crisps? All in, buying a birthday card for a cat? Okay then. George is a millionaire. Get yourself a coat with sleeves. Lotto makes 2 millionaires a week on average. Will you be the next millionaire?
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation. That's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
Armed in? Okay, now, you can have a great first day. I promise, all right? You let me.
Your donations helped 3D print his heart to guide his surgery and saved his life with a groundbreaking innovation. and the future breakthrough that could cure her is closer than ever. Help us turn science fiction into reality and save more lives like hers. Donate to the British Heart Foundation now.
How long's it been then? We met about 8 years back. What? Yeah, serious relationship.
He has this way of looking into my eyes.
Knows how to treat me. Gentle, considerate.
Did I tell you he owns his own business?
I think he's going to pop the question.
Better or worse?
Better.
Our opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently, he's seeing half the town.
Book an appointment today.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
Viewers, the conflict has resulted in flight operations being disrupted as airspace restrictions have been imposed across Middle East in the wake of Iran's reported attacks on a U.S. military base in Qatar late Monday. 48 flights, including 28 arrivals, 20 departures, cancelled at Delhi airport, with Air India and Indigo airspace taking the brunt. And airspace has now reopened in Israel, Bahrain, Qatar and the UAE. Air India has announced on Tuesday that it has ceased all operations to the Middle East region amidst the developing situation. All right, viewers, a quick break. We return with more stories on the other side. Stay with us.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years' experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
Oh, wasn't he lovely? That young man at Avanti Travel Insurance.
Yeah, very.
He was so reassuring. They covered all our medical conditions, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Your diabetes, my dodgy hip.
And the rest.
Even at your age, love. Oh. Love?
Oh, great.
Oh, love.
Avanti Travel Insurance cover most pre-existing health conditions for all ages. That's travel reassurance. Call or go online.
I knew I should have got the flamingo.
Air fryer. It fries using air.
Everybody's looking for that something.
Britain, what you buy is your business. Helping you pay less interest is ours.
You know how much that means. You found that special thing.
Air fryer.
You're flying with the wind.
Barclaycard. Make money work for you.
Discover the finest quality made-to-measure blinds, shutters and curtains at Blinds Direct. A huge selection of beautiful window dressings to suit every room. Handmade here in the UK with a 5-year guarantee for your peace of mind. Order your free samples today and choose your perfect design. Exclusively online, delivered direct to your door. Shop now for an extra 20% off and free delivery at blindsdirect.co.uk.
Bomin Irani, your acting career begins at a very young age of 41. And so usse pehle it was photography. You had captured India through the lens of a photographer, and then you worked in the hospitality sector as well. Before that. So while you were, dabbling between so many roles, which one is it, and when was it that you realized that it is acting?
I think
When I was very young, my love was always cinema, actually. I used to watch all kinds of movies even at a very young age. Very young, and a lot of people used to wonder why I would watch movies that were
All right, viewers, we now have David Satterfield. He's a former U.S. ambassador to Turkey, someone who served in Persian Gulf, Lebanon and Iraq, joining us to talk more about how he sees the entire conflict and where it is headed now. Ambassador David, thanks much for speaking to us. Let me start first and foremost, the attack that took place at the American base in Qatar. In your assessment, do you think that was an effort by Iran to escalate it, or do you think it was more symbolic in nature for the regime to get some sort of an off-ramp?
I interpret what has happened today as primarily designed for Iranian domestic audiences. Iran, the leadership, felt obliged to respond to the U.S. strike on the nuclear enrichment facilities, but the nature of the response, the fact that it was clearly telegraphed and not intended to produce casualties, would suggest to me that it is symbolic rather than substantive. My hope would be that it ends the present cycle and that there is no further U.S.-Iranian exchanges.
That hasn't happened, Ambassador Satterfield. That hasn't happened. There's been some sort of a ceasefire that has been put there. But in your assessment, where do you see the region and, more importantly, Trump administration's next steps? That though there may be a ceasefire, but do you think the possibility of this escalation happening?
The history of similar events during the first Trump administration, after the killing of Qasem Soleimani by the United States, was again a relatively symbolic Iranian strike to which there was no further U.S. response. While I cannot be certain, of course, I would hope and perhaps expect it would be similar in these circumstances unless Iran takes a further action. But the more important question is, where do events go now? Not specifically between the U.S. and Iran, but Iran and the region as a whole. Does Iran come to the negotiating table for a peaceful arrangement for the end of its enrichment program, or does it persist in efforts to use that program as a means of exerting a regional sway, a regional hegemony? We can hope that it does take Iran to a diplomatic ending, but we cannot be certain at this point.
Which brings me to ask you about the nuclear talks. Do you think diplomacy is going to get a fresh shot in the arm with some sort of possibility of all sides coming on the negotiating table?
Well, Iran either would not or could not come to the table with a significant commitment to ending its enrichment program, a program which it is used as a stick, if you will, to brandish over the region as a whole and the broader international community for many years now. Iran wouldn't do it during the initial period offered for a diplomatic resolution, but the president has made very clear that opportunity continues to exist. And I think it is something that the Iranian leadership should consider very, very carefully. But I'll repeat myself, the calculations of the supreme leadership of Iran are extremely difficult for external observers to fully understand. But the opportunity for a diplomatic way out absolutely is there.
What about, you mentioned about the supreme leader. I want to ask, regime change has been mentioned as one of the possibilities. President Trump mentioned that. Israel definitely wants that. Do you think that's still on the cards, or do you think the regime change and the supreme leader is now more comfortable in terms of his position in Iran than earlier?
I can't comment any further on the president's remarks, the president's tweets. What I will say is this: the U.S. strike was undertaken as a means of bringing to an end the enrichment program and bringing Iran to the negotiating table on peaceful arrangements to ensure that there is in the future no further threat posed to the region, posed to Israel in specific, or posed to Iranians by the continued pursuit of this enrichment program, which has more to do with external threat than it does any Iranian domestic need.
All right, final question, Ambassador Satterfield, which is about America's presence in this entire region. The entire region actually was looking at a potential escalation. It's brought back from the brink of a larger war. Where do you see America's role in the Middle East now?
Udeid Air Base will continue to function both for the United States, for the Qataris, and for all of our partners in the region and beyond.
All right. That, of course, was Ambassador David Satterfield talking about how things are looking like. Shift focus now to the other big story that we are now tracking. Shifting focus away from Iran and Israel on to, well, another very important aspect that we are looking at, which is a move that could strengthen the long arm of the U.S. State Department when it comes to giving visas to students, all those who aspire to get a student visa, whether it is students, whether it is green card holders or anybody else for that matter. What could that be? What will be that entail? Well, individuals now that applying for an F or an M or a J non-immigrant visa will be required to adjust the privacy settings on all of their social media accounts to public to support identity verification, admissibility checks. The directive is part of enhanced vetting procedures being implemented across U.S. consular services globally. Announcement comes just 2 days after the U.S. Department of Homeland Security posted a broader clarification regarding the nature of visas. The department had stated that a U.S. visa is a privilege. It's not a right. The screening does not stop after it is issued. Now, as per these latest directives and guidelines by the U.S. State Department, every student visa adjudication is now treated as a national security decision. That's a very important part. Officials have been instructed to thoroughly examine applicants' intentions, especially regarding compliance with visa terms and potential crises and risks that could emanate into all the way raising questions regarding national security, which is why it's very important to put out some of those big questions that we are asking right here, and then we get in the guests as well on this. First and foremost, the question that we are asking, that is this now a security measure or is it a political tool? Will this effectively enhance national security for America? That's the primary goal that is being made out to be. Will this impact students' privacy and free speech? Do they actually have any free speech and privacy whatsoever, given the fact that everything now has to be in the public domain? And most importantly, will this at some point of time deter Indian talent from American campuses? Will they evaluate other opportunities? Let's get in a quick view on this. We have Prashant Ajmera and Naveen Chopra to talk more on this. The question, of course, also is from a larger point of view of U.S. State Department. Which one of you would like to take that question, sir? In terms of the U.S. State Department, do you think that the bureaucracy that Donald Trump was actually wanting to cut is now going to expand going forward, because he's going to need a lot more resources to be able to mine everybody's social media accounts? Are we looking at a more inflated bureaucracy in Donald Trump's second administration?
Not because of this factor, I don't think, because the AI-based automation is kicked in a heavy way, and that's increasing its footprint every day. So monitoring, to a very large extent, will also be AI-driven. Obviously, there will be humans involved in that process. But the key thing is that whoever has thought up this policy, or a group of people who thought up this policy, I'm afraid I would view them as very linear, straight-line thinkers. There are two aspects that this policy is going to impact negatively on the United States in the long run. One, the US has been a beacon of free speech. The First Amendment, is it the First Amendment or the Second Amendment? I forget. Related to
It's the
free
First
speech
Amendment, yeah.
has been very often quoted by every leader, including the current president, and in terms of the right for anybody to make any kind of a comment at all whatsoever, however extreme it might be. Now, by passing this, they are essentially saying that we don't believe in free speech. Having said that, the revert from the administration could well be that look, these rights apply to citizens and residents, not to aliens, as they call them, coming in. Fair enough, but the principles have been enumerated across the world. The second thing is, what do you think this is going to do? Almost a large number of people will now tailor their social media posts to reflect the
Right.
picture they want to reflect. I mean, this will
Okay,
this will be
let's
a
get in
nightmare
a word. All right, hold your thought there. So I want to quickly get in a word from Prashant Ajmera on this as well. Prashant Ajmera, the big beautiful bill that Donald Trump is bringing in is talking about more expenses, more government expenditure. Well, this could be one such expenditure, right? The amount of resources it will take to actually mine through social media accounts of all those who want to apply to US is going to be very significant.
Yeah, obviously it will increase, and that's why they had to pause the processing of this non-immigrant visa for a few days. But as Mr. Chopra said, that it is going to be AI based or artificial intelligence based, so that the computer will check it out, the social medias when the applicants are applying, and if they find something against the governments or whatever the criteria they have established, then they will pull up that. Remember that the DS 160 form which we use it is always been asking this question since last many years. But apart from just getting the informations, they were not vetting it or they were not looking into it using the tool. Probably now the government has developed the artificial intelligence tool whereby they can check this one. And I think this is more in a reflections what has happened in the last 12 to 18 months time on the American universities where the demonstrations happens against the governments and against the so and so forth. And most of them were like a foreign students as well. And that is one of the reasons they want to look at it, but also many other reasons. Because when it comes to the non-immigrant visas, generally any security checks or nothing is done, but more is done is with respect to the whether you have an immigrant intent or non-immigrant intent. So this is for the first times I think they are looking into that we want to do some security check about you as well. And for them, I think the social media is the ideal weapon to look into the history of the person.
Okay, all right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, both of you. Well, at the end of the day, in fact, let's put out that bottom line, viewers, to talk more about this. There are several aspects to this as far as this story is concerned. This also tells you, point number one, that Donald Trump is very serious about how he wants to now ensure that entry into US, the entire visa selection process is going to be completely changed. Every application will be vetted. It means it will take much longer. It will also mean that the entire process will mean more steps in it. So he's not streamlining the process, he's adding more layers to it. It will also mean more resources by the State Department will have to be focused on providing details before the application even moves ahead. So more resources there. It also means that some resources will be diverted away from existing US State Department functions. What will that be? Whether it will be healthcare, whether it will be several others, no one knows. But there will be some change of resource allocation. That's the only way visa applications that come in, lakhs and lakhs of visa applications that come into US will have to be mined with that much amount of detail. And last and equally important, this also means that there will have to be more expenditure into the US bureaucratic system, something that the entire DOGE setup was actually meant to erase. Will that mean that the big beautiful bill will have more features and areas focused only on mining visa applications status in terms of social media? No one knows, but what I can say is that the wait is going to get longer because it's just going to take that much more time. On that note, we're going to slip into a very short break, come back with more stories on the other side. Stay with us.
Sadly, animal cruelty has reached an appalling high. It's the worst animal rescue emergency in our recent history, and we urgently need your help. The RSPCA is the only charity in England and Wales dedicated to animals of every kind. Without us, those facing serious abuse and neglect would simply not be saved. Like you, we can't bear to think of them suffering. That's why, despite the high numbers, we must reach them before it's too late. If you can help us carry on this vital work with a monthly gift, please call or text the number on screen now. Anything you can give would help so much. It'll help us answer more calls. It'll help us rescue more animals in danger and help provide them with the urgent medical treatment, food and loving care they need. I promise we will never give up trying to save every animal we can, but we need your help now more than ever. I can assure you, your gift will help save animals' lives every day. Please call 0800 234 6025, text SAVE to 78866, or visit our website to start your monthly donation today. Thank you.
Welcome to rooms where real life unfolds, where awkward spaces become favourite places, and space to work works for you. Welcome to more space to be yourself, with your room designed your way, where there's always room for one more chapter. Welcome to proudly on display or safely out of the way. Welcome to that feeling of home. Welcome to Sharps Fitted Furniture for every room. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money,
am I going to lose my job?
Getting on with life,
can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
Or just need someone to listen.
How do I tell them?
Our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charge hidden commissions, then I've made my claim.
I could be owed thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
On that front, things have sort of wound down, Ankit. The Iran versus US element of this entire escalation, that appears to have stopped. There's no forward movement there. All the action is where you are.
Absolutely, you are bang on. That it also looked like that this whole thing that happened yesterday, with multiple US bases coming under the fire from the Iranian missiles, which largely were in fact diffused and were neutralized by the air defenses, as Donald Trump said. It more or less was somewhat a show that was put up so that both Iran and United States actually could get an off-ramp of this crisis. They did not want to continue. Donald Trump knew that he's not going to get that sort of support in America if they actually have to put boots on grounds or have to be drawn in this conflict. Remember, he came to power this time saying that he's going to bring United States out of all the global conflicts that the United States is involved in. And then, of course, with bombing of those bases, nuclear bases and installations in Iran, it was absolutely the opposite that Mr. Trump has promised to his constituents. But it's after what happened yesterday, there was some sort of flimsy expectation that peace may, in fact, be ensued. And if that would have happened, Donald Trump would have, in fact, gone to the town saying that he has once again resolved another conflict, another crisis. But with what has happened this morning and what continues to happen now, because, in northern Israel, there have been sirens which have gone on again. And as you are reporting that the Israeli army, the IDF, has already said that they are engaging in counter retaliation in retaliation of these attacks from Iran. It seems that the opportunity and this little glimmer of hope has completely now been thrown, or at least is buried under the rubble of where I'm standing, Shiv, where you are seeing these visuals of destruction and death which has come in from Israel at this moment, where a massive operation from the rescuers is still on, which it will tell you that that 7 p.m. deadline, not only that deadline now stands on its head. We now don't know the current session, the current round of hostilities, for how long will it go on, because it has already been 12 days. And if this continues, if Israel retaliates, then of course we can expect retaliation from the Iranian side as well. It's the domestic audience for which at this moment the entire play of war is going on. Where is the full stop is something that is anybody's guess.
Ankit, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to urge you to move your position, because I know it isn't safe. There are rescue and relief operations happening, but your safety is paramount. So we're going to ask you to, move as much as possible. But a very quick final question before I let you go, Ankit, is this. You are in Israel at a time when Iranian missiles are landing at locations right behind you. That's number one. Number two, Israel is about to retaliate, and therefore this is a country that you're reporting from that is on the highest state of military alert at this point of time. Air bases, military bases, drone bases, which are not very far from where you are in Beersheba, will also be on a very high state of alert. But most importantly, like you said, the death toll in Israel as a result of these Iranian strikes is something that has never actually been seen before. Iranian attacks with missiles and drones have usually targeted areas that are not population centers. This time they have specifically targeted population centers, and that's why things are different. And that's why what you're seeing on the ground hasn't been seen for many, many decades, Ankit.
Absolutely. This time, there have been, while you were speaking about this, I just went back to a day before where in Tel Aviv, there was, we showed you that shopping center in the residential area where the attack took place. And I spoke to one person who was taking the stuff out from his daughter's residence, which was impacted. And this is exactly what he said. He said, we are ready to pay the price in terms of the buildings. They can be rebuilt. But if lives are lost, this is not something that the Israelis are ready to stand by with. And that is exactly what has happened this morning. And also during this entire conflict, I will have to once recheck, but if I stand correct, if I remember correctly, the death toll throughout the 12 days now in Israel stands over 25. So between 25 to 29 is the number of dead this time in this conflict has been. And that takes a huge amount of toll and also pressure as far as the government is concerned for any kind of step back. The Iranian, of course, there have been retaliations and there have been a lot of destruction in Iran as well. But reporting from the country where I am in at this moment, that it becomes a very important figure for any sort of decision to go forward, which can be taken by Benjamin Netanyahu. Just earlier, just before these raid sirens, the alert sirens were sounded off in northern Israel, there was expectation from the Prime Minister's office. A full statement came in that objectives have been achieved. The Prime Minister is going to make a statement. He will speak to the people of Israel. Now that seems he would be in a very, very difficult position if even he was thinking of coming out and announcing some sort of ceasefire with what has happened, Shiv.
Ankit, a small final question before I let you go. The people that you're speaking to, the rescue staff, the first responders who are there in all of those places right now, military reservists that you're seeing, come out of vacation or wherever they are to serve their country. That is one thing you're seeing everywhere in Israel. I notice it's there in almost every frame that you're sending us as well. This is clearly a country that is in its highest state of alert, where citizens are pitching in as well.
You know, I can tell you one thing, and this was my first time in Israel, and that too under the most trying circumstances. I have never seen any other place where people are so prepared for a situation like this. Nobody wants a war, but, you know, like we go, since morning, 4 times we had to run to the bomb shelters, and within moments, as soon as the raid siren goes off, people are back doing what they are. Every location of impact that I have been to, apart from, of course, the government agencies, the reservists, the forces, and everybody else, there are a group of volunteers that you will see set up tents, helping people, giving them, directions, helping them clean out their houses, or whatever is left of their houses. So it is a country which has seen conflicts after conflicts, and the result of that, of course, is, yes, there is tension, yes, there is fear, but it more or less has become part of life, and that is why they are not worried, in a sense, with the kind of impact that it is taking. The only question was that people are extremely, serious about the death toll. Once the numbers of the dead start coming in, that's where the pressure starts building in. The buildings being damaged largely don't have the same impact. So this is, the country at the highest state of alert, and where the people were possibly today hoping that this is going to result in some sort of de-escalation with what has happened now. And like you are pointing out, IDF is preparing for some sort of retaliation towards Iran. That window for the people, those who are hoping that it is not going to be a long-drawn Gaza type of situation, that very little glimmer of hope seems to be completely under the rubble of this building that I'm standing here.
Ankit, amidst all this unfolding chaos, you're doing a terrific job. Stay safe. We will keep coming back to you. Sheva is the epicenter of the most amount of destruction that is taking place today. Ankit, as always, the first and only reporter on ground bringing you that, and will continue to bring you a factual look on NDTV's cameras of this this riveting, suspenseful and unfolding story between Iran and Israel. Iran, remember, has announced a powerful strike on Tehran, the capital of Iran. When that's going to happen, we will let you know. This is a live story that we're tracking right now in real time. It's back to the studio now.
Right, Sheva, of course, after Donald Trump went on to say that this is going to be a 12-day war, well, that ceasefire agreement didn't even stay in place for 12 hours. We will keep tracking that story. For now, we're slipping into a very short break.
From plumbing to roofing to electrics, search Checkatrade for a job done right.
Checkatrade.com. How long's it been then? We met about 8 years back. What? Yeah, serious relationship.
He has this way of looking into my eyes.
Knows how to treat me. Gentle, considerate.
Did I tell you he owns his own business?
I think he's going to pop the question.
Better or worse?
Better.
Our opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently, he's seeing half the town.
Book an appointment today.
Guess who's coming to dinner with Felix? Robbie Williams.
Cats do what they want when they want to. Don't feel any need to impress you.
Dinner!
Live like your Felix. It's great to be a cat.
Purina.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm going to get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You have to be comfortable with that.
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
Magic family moments deserve the perfect setting. A stylish awning from House is the ideal addition to your outdoor space. Available in a range of colours and finishes, and with the option of integrated lighting and heating, you can enjoy your outdoor space for even longer. Now that is magic. House awnings, made for life.
We know travel can be confusing. That's why I use travelup.com. Compare and book over 100 airlines and thousands of hotels. And while you're away, TravelUp has you covered. Get flight updates on delays and cancellations in a way that suits you. TravelUp provides this for over 100 airlines, so there's no need to have multiple travel apps on your phone. Book now on travelup.com or call 0207 580 5000. TravelUp. Flights, hotels, holidays.
And the extent of damage, 7 people have died and a lot of loss of property, a lot of damage that is being reported, and NDTV's cameras captured the destruction in Israel. Group Captain Sheva will be heading to space tomorrow. The 24-hour countdown has begun for that mission. This is after the quickest turnaround. After this is NASA, they're announcing that this is going to be taking place at 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Indian Standard Time. And India's superstar shares health challenges. We're talking about Salman Khan battling not one, not two, but 3 health issues, but says the show must go on. Let's get you the latest. Very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadwa. Now, Israel has ordered attacks on Iran after ceasefire violation has been reported. Now, there have been sirens that have gone off in the northern part of Israel. This is after the ceasefire that was reached upon. A ceasefire was declared between Israel and Iran after Donald Trump and Qatar mediated between the two nations. The ceasefire was reached after the US struck Iran's nuclear capabilities, and in retaliation, Iran attacked US Air Base in Qatar. Now, the US leader had earlier said that truce would be a phased out process between 24 hours. That was to start at about 4 o'clock in the morning, Iranian time. It's Israeli defense minister now who has gone on to say that Israel has ordered the country's military to respond forcefully to what he said has been a violation from Iran's side of the ceasefire that was reached upon between the two nations. Ankit joining us from the ground, from Israel. Ankit, take us through the sirens that are being heard as far as the northern part is concerned, and the destruction and the devastation we've seen early this morning in the southern part of Israel. All this while the United States has gone on to claim that ceasefire has been agreed upon, and in fact Donald Trump urging both nations not to violate that agreement.
Yes, and let me first give you some clarity that we have just received. There were alerts which were issued for a possible incoming projectile in northern Israel, but air raid sirens have not gone up, and there has nothing been intercepted. So, I mean, the army, in fact, has said that it was there were no projectile was lodged in the last 2.5 hours from the Iranians, and there hasn't been any interception as far as the army is concerned. There were alerts which were issued, but nothing has happened, at least on the ground in northern Israel. So that's number one. Number two, like you are saying, it is a very important, fragile time as far as this peace agreement goes, because it was agreed that from 7 a.m. When this agreed time of ceasefire began, the government of Israel has said that they are cautious and watchful till 7 p.m. in the evening, and only after that, they will possibly decide on the next course of action. There was an expectation of an announcement being made by Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. We heard that he would be making a public statement as well. Before that, a statement was released in which it was very clearly mentioned that the objectives of this operation of completely disarming and ensuring that Iran doesn't have the capability to make nuclear weapons, that as per both the United States of America and Israel have been achieved. So the the hope was that after 12 days of continuous, retaliation, counter-retaliation, there would now be some sort of a peace, possibly, which can be expected. But it has come, in the last 1 hour of that said ceasefire, which was supposed to begin at 7 a.m., came with a lot of death and destruction here in Israel. And with the building that you see behind me is a residential complex. This is all residential area, many buildings around it, civilians living here. This was struck by an Iranian missile early in the morning. 5 barrages today in just a span of little over an hour in various parts of Israel, almost covering the southern, the northern, the central part of Israel, were in fact launched by Iran, which was being seen as their last attempt to somehow fire the last missile or fire the last bullet before the ceasefire comes in. And one of those missiles came directly and struck here in this very building that you are seeing behind me. There are still clearing operations which are going on by the forces and that you see just behind us. This building took the maximum impact. It was a direct hit, and in a couple of apartments right on the top, they've completely collapsed. Unfortunately, 4 people have lost their lives here, and 5 others were pulled out of the rubble from the debris after a lot of hard work of the first responders, the rescuers, those who reached the spot. While this building, which seems completely destroyed, around this entire parking lot, there are cars and other flats and other structures which have also suffered significant damage. I'm standing, just about 50 meters from this building in this parking lot, and here as well, whatever was parked has also sustained a lot of damage. At this moment, all across that you see, there are these buildings which have also suffered damage, shattered window panes, shattered balconies, completely, all around this building as well. So about 8 to 10 buildings around this residential complex have also suffered some sort of damage, and the residents of these buildings, civilians, have been asked to evacuate. It was very unfortunate for the people, those who were in the house which took the direct hit. And let me also tell you, in this conflict which has been going on for the last 12 days now, the death toll is over 25 in Israel, and largely when we were looking at the numbers are people, those who are elderly, not being able to go outside, at the time of impact, unable to go to the shelters, and those are the ones who had to bear the maximum cost as far as this, conflict is concerned. All right, I've just been told that we also have a guest. Let me, hand it back to Divya, and we'll continue from there.
Right, Ankit, let's just get in Mr. Azrael, who's joining us in order to know more on this. Sir, thank you for speaking with us here on NDTV. The ceasefire that hasn't even stayed in place for 12 hours after Donald Trump claimed that this will be known as a 12-day war. What do you make of this, one step forward, 2 steps back that both sides seem to be taking?
Yes, thank you for having me. Israel is, of course, very familiar with fragile ceasefires. We've seen several ceasefires, both with Gaza and with Lebanon, over this war that didn't last, and this time a very serious violation from Iran with these 2 missiles fired towards Israel some 3.5 hours since this ceasefire came into force at 7 a.m. This morning. We did see some launches right after 7 a.m. as well, but Israel was ready to contain these launches. However, 3.5 hours after the ceasefire, 2 missiles, there's nothing to be taken as a misunderstanding here, and that is why we are getting the very harsh responses from Israel, both from the Defense Minister Israel Katz, from the Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir, both vowing to respond forcefully in Tehran in response to this violation of the ceasefire. Look, after 12 days of hostilities between these 2 countries, there was hope that this ceasefire would last. That's certainly under the agreement, or we don't know the details of this agreement, but at least under the declaration of President Donald Trump. And we did see this morning, right before this rocket fire, an official announcement by the Israeli government saying that the goals of this operation, of this war, were achieved, eliminating Iran's nuclear capabilities, much of their ballistic missile program. However, we see that the ceasefire does not last. Two missiles that were fired just an hour ago, and Israel promises to respond. What we don't know, again, is what are the conditions of the ceasefire? What did Donald Trump promise Prime Minister Netanyahu when it comes to Iran redeveloping its nuclear program?
Guy, if I can, if you can hear me at this moment, I'm standing right here in Sheva, where, of course, that unfortunate incident where the missile, this apartment took a direct hit and 4 people died. Like you are describing, just an hour back, we are also picking up the same 2 missiles were lodged over northern Israel, and though both of them have been intercepted, but the fact is now the IDF chief has come out and said that there will be a very, very strong retaliation to this provocation. Does this mean any hope of that ceasefire is now completely over and we are once again in the escalatory ladder as far as the hostilities are concerned?
I wouldn't hurry to bury this ceasefire. However, Israel, when it comes to explain this ceasefire to its citizens with this violation, has to show that it is responding to this very serious violation. I think that in order to resolve this, we will have to see another intervention by U.S. President Donald Trump, urging both sides to stop the hostilities. And you can expect him also to support the Israeli reaction to this violation. Having said all of that, Israel does want to see the end of this escalation. Israel says it has achieved all of its goals so far over those past 12 days. Israel does not want to see a long war of attrition with ongoing missile fire towards the Israeli economy that could really cripple its economy. So Israel will be looking for some sort of a peaceful solution to this, and yet has to show to the Israeli public that it is responding to this violation, and with great force. We will have to see what sort of reaction comes out of Tehran.
You know, like you were also pointing out, and we have been seeing since morning as well, a lot of chatter where, opposition leaders and others, those who are saying that why was this ceasefire announced by United States? It should have been, clarity should have come from the government of Israel, from the Prime Minister's office. And also, is there a sense that possibly President of United States may have jumped the gun without getting into the finer details of the ceasefire agreement? He just went on and announced it hurriedly with, right now, little or zero impact on the real situation between Iran and Israel.
Look, there are quotes coming out of the cabinet meeting last night of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu telling his ministers the Iranian threat was a cancer, and cancer can always come back. He's perhaps suggesting to the fact that this agreement was reached with Trump about ending the hostilities, but it's not clear whether Israel is getting any guarantees about Iran rebuilding its nuclear program, its ballistic missile program, and I think above all, also the use of its proxies against Israel, as we saw throughout these 20 months of war, both with Hamas, with Hezbollah, with the Houthis, with militias in Iraq and in Syria. This is another threat that Israel has to deal with. It does not want to see a war of attrition, does not want to see more threats on Israel in the coming months. Yes, Israel has managed to make great achievements over this war, really eliminating the threat of Hamas almost completely. But we need to remember there are still 50 Israeli hostages at the hands of Hamas. There is still no political solution that Israel can agree to. I can remind you that this entire war started on October 7th, as Israel was nearing normalization with Saudi Arabia. That is also something that is very important for Israel. Should this war with Iran come to an end, we are expecting to see a development on that front as well, and that is another reason why Israel wants to end this war and still has to show that it is responding to the violation.
Salman. Okay, in conclusion, let me ask you this final question, and before I let you go, Guy. Like you said, that Israel wants, a quick resolution as far as this conflict is concerned. Do not want another long-drawn Gaza sort of a situation, when it comes to the hostilities with Iran. Are we expecting soon to hear from the Prime Minister, as it was declared earlier, that Benjamin Netanyahu would be making a statement? And with what has been happening in the last few hours, will he be under pressure at this moment not to come out and possibly announce, a ceasefire till the time there are certain assurance and guarantees that come in from United States and Iran?
Yes, obviously this violation catches Prime Minister Netanyahu at a very sensitive time. He was expected to speak to the public. We eventually did get an official statement from the government about the beginning of the ceasefire that came before the violation. Now I can tell you that all ministers were instructed not to give any interviews to the media, obviously not wanting to inflame the situation even further, not to say things that would harm or jeopardize the chances of renewing this ceasefire. Nonetheless, we will see the reaction. It's hard to see the Israeli jets not striking something, at least symbolically, in Tehran to show that Israel would not accept more of such violations.
Guy, very quickly, before I let you go, let me also ask you this. Is there a sense that because United States, got involved and then wanted to get out of this situation, so it was not only just an off-ramp for Iran, what happened yesterday with their, attacks on the United States bases in Qatar and other places. Is there a sense in Israel that US also wanted to get this off-ramp, get off this situation, and that is why they hurried into this ceasefire announcement without possibly looking at the ground realities?
Absolutely. Look, President Donald Trump announced that he is not looking to start new wars, and yet he found an opportunity in the fact that Iran prolonged the negotiations for a new nuclear deal with Israel's beginning this escalation, and eventually this was a good solution for Trump as well, to just destroy those major nuclear facilities. Nonetheless, he wanted a quick end to this war that was a mutual interest of Israel and Iran at that stage, and that is and it does raise the question as to why Iran chose to fire those missiles, jeopardizing this ceasefire that it seems like all sides wanted right now.
No, you're not. Guy, thank you so much for speaking to us here on NDTV. That's Guy Israel, who was he's a correspondent with I-24, speaking to us, trying to give us a sense of what is happening, as far as the political understanding of this crisis is concerned. But before I go across to Divya, once again, very quickly, let me tell you that at this moment, in fact, after the clearing of operation from this building, which took a direct hit, is being done, and this building behind me here in Beersheba stands a testimony to the cost of war that has been inflicted on the people of Israel, and I'm sure the people of Iran, where retaliatory strikes from Israel has also taken place in the last 12 days of hostilities between both these regional powers. Divya, back to you.
Right, Ankit, stay safe, because this really comes at a time when Iran is retaliating, and in fact, Israel is warning, the defense minister is warning of a very forceful attack that might be coming Iran's way. Well, this really is something that we saw early this morning. Ankit reporting from that southern part of Israel, showing you the extent of damage. 7 lives have been lost in the fresh attack that took place earlier this morning, even though on the other side it was United States claiming that the ceasefire agreement has come into effect. Take a look at this report.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man, a leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy 1 bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Whether you're setting up a new nest,
starting your own flock. Or they just keep on growing. Get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later. And pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
How long's it been then? We met about 8 years back. What? Yeah, serious relationship.
He has this way of looking into my eyes.
Knows how to treat me. Gentle, considerate.
Did I tell you he owns his own business?
I think he's going to pop the question.
Better or worse?
Better.
Our opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently, he's seeing half the town.
Book an appointment today.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price summer sale. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our best-selling shaker range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Don't miss Sharp's half-price summer sale. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
Where we are standing tells you the devastating signs. The ruins of this building tell you the cost that this war, the 12-day war so far, has taken, the toll it has taken on the people of Israel. After this impact, both the countries, remember, have been in this continuous cycle of attacks and counterattacks. And the signs of this, the devastation that you see behind me, is a testimony of what really happens as far as the war is concerned, the price that people of any country have to pay when they are under attack. All right, I'm now being joined from this very site of the devastation that we have been reporting from in Beersheba with Lieutenant Dean Elson. He is the international spokesperson for the Israeli police. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let me ask you for this. There must be first responders who would have come at that point of time. When did the missile strike take place in this building? It's a completely residential civilian area.
Yeah, so our emergency dispatch got the call approximately around 6 a.m. this morning, a little bit before that. And because our police officers have been on heightened alert since the very beginning, since June 13th, we've had units that were very close. They arrived here, including our bomb disposal units, to clear the site from missile fragments and debris so that the rest of the officers and security forces can go inside and begin their search and rescue efforts. We're talking about a residential building that sustained intense damage. You see it right here. It's not a military base and it's not a security building. This is somebody's home. It's not meant to absorb a ballistic missile. And unfortunately, we've recovered 4 individuals who were murdered here. We have a number of casualties, and the search and rescue teams are still working at this time. You can see them up there on the top floors, still going room by room to try to remove the rubble that was once somebody's home and try to uncover the civilians that might be trapped underneath.
Is there still a possibility that people might still be trapped because it's been few hours since the missile hit took place, or has this been all cleared?
No, you can see that the search and rescue teams are still very much working right now at this time, not just here in this building, but we also have police officers going building to building in the surrounding area, because when you have a direct impact like this is not the only isolated location of damage. You have buildings where shards of glass have been broken through into people's rooms, into their living rooms, debris has been flown, and so we need to check to make sure if there's somebody in a surrounding building that may have been killed in the middle of their sleep or running to shelter by glass that was blown at such a high velocity and may have killed them.
It will take a few hours before actually, this entire rubble could be cleared at least, and there could be an, all clear for human people there inside. Is there a sense of how many people were there at the time of impact in this building, when the missile hit?
I don't have exact numbers for you. I can give you my observation here from the field. You're talking about a 6-7 floor building with about 4 or 5 apartments on each floor. So you can gather the numbers from there. Who was home, I can't exactly tell you. But what I can tell you is it doesn't matter even if there was one person at the house. What matters is that ballistic missiles are being fired at our civilian communities. It's not a matter of opinion anymore. And I've said this over and over again. You've seen it for yourself as the media coming here. You see who's being targeted. Residential communities. Israel's war, and we've said it from the very beginning, it's not against civilians, but the Iranian regime is showing their true face of who they're targeting repeatedly. And I have to point out to all of your viewers and all of the viewers abroad listening, the Israeli nation is not made up only of Jews. We have people of all backgrounds here, of all nationalities and all religions. We have Indians here. We have Muslims and Christians, and they've all been targeted by these missiles. And that's why this fight, it's not just Israel's fight. It's the Iranian regime targeting all of humanity and Western ideology.
Sheva also saw strikes earlier as well. Hospital here was targeted a few days back. Is there a sense in the community, that why this city is being repeatedly targeted under the radar of the Iranian missiles?
I can't speak to directly what the Iranian regime is trying to do. I can only again speak to the pattern that they're targeting civilian communities, and it's not limited to residential buildings like we're seeing right here. It's also hospitals. It's places of worship. It's communities that are mixed, communities that are Arab communities in our more northern regions or coastal regions, and that's what the world needs to see right now.
How many people were
Ladies and gentlemen, Britain hasn't been so great of late because the country hasn't been eating enough Weetabix.
Makes sense. I've been eating croissants.
To whoever's in charge of fixing potholes, VAR, and drivers who park like this, we must say, have you had your Weetabix?
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy 1 bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Whether you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later. And pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
How long's it been then? We met about 8 years back. What? Yeah, serious relationship.
He has this way of looking into my eyes.
Knows how to treat me. Gentle, considerate.
Did I tell you he owns his own business?
I think he's going to pop the question.
Better or worse?
Better.
Our opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently, he's seeing half the town.
Book an appointment today.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charge hidden commissions, then I've made my claim.
I could be on thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
Concern, I would say, if you've got 7 people on board a flight, that also a long-haul flight, suddenly feeling unwell. This was the flight, I'm told, on the 23rd of this month, the flight between London Heathrow and Mumbai, a Boeing 777 aircraft. In fact, the same aircraft that you see on your screen over there. And according to Air India, 5 passengers and 2 crew members were feeling dizzy and nauseous during different phases of the flight. Now, they were treated, a few of them, after the aircraft landed. But ultimately they went away, they felt better. Now, whether it's a case of food poisoning or it has something to do with the cabin pressure is something that's being looked into. Now, Air India has informed the regulator, the Director General of Civil Aviation, about this. But certainly 7 people feeling sick on board a long-haul flight is a matter of concern, and that's something which Air India is looking at very closely.
Right, again, putting a lot of concern as far as checks and balances are concerned before the takeoff of a flight, whether it's food, whether it's the cabin pressure, and of course, other checks involved. Is Air India carrying out its checks thoroughly is the big question here, Vishnu.
Yeah, they'll be carrying out all sorts of checks. They'll be certainly looking at the aircraft as well. They'll be looking at the food. But at this stage, this remains a bit of a mystery. But again, if you've got 2 cabin crew members feeling nauseous on board a flight, feeling dizzy as well, then it raises all sorts of questions on, how exactly has this happened? Is this something to do with cabin pressure, which is maintained at a certain level on board all flights, or does this have to do with the food? And I think it's important that the airline or whoever is investigating this gets to the bottom of this, because the last thing that anybody needs is passengers falling sick on board a flight. 7 people on board, including 2 cabin crew members. These weren't pilots, they were cabin crew members, falling sick. It's not good news for any airline.
Right, Vishnu, this really comes, on the heels of that plane crash as far as Air India is concerned. And we will keep coming back to you for more on this. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. Back with a whole lot more. Do stay with us.
50 years of the emergency.
भाइयों और बहनों, राष्ट्रपति जी ने आपातकाल की घोषणा की है.
India's darkest hour, June 25th, 1975. Lest we forget. The emergency. NDTV rewinds when democracy was suspended.
लोकतंत्र का गला घोट दिया गया था. भारत के संविधान निर्माताओं की तपस्या को मिट्टी में मिलाने की कोशिश की गई थी.
Indira Gandhi's assault on freedom. An NDTV special, Wednesday, June 25th.
Whether you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later, and pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
Magic family moments deserve the perfect setting. A stylish awning from House is the ideal addition to your outdoor space. Available in a range of colours and finishes, and with the option of integrated lighting and heating, you can enjoy your outdoor space for even longer. Now that is magic. House awnings, made for life.
Your personalized car insurance deals from Auto Sergey, already done for you.
Simples.
Just make it simples with Compare the Market.
We all love a bargain, like these flatmates who switched to Vodafone and are now paying less for their full fibre broadband, which means they can still stream 2 shows at the same time. But for less. Still gaming with mates, but for less.
It's easy to switch to reliable full fibre broadband for less.
From Vodafone.
Guess who's coming to dinner with Felix? Robbie Williams.
Cats do what they want when they want to. Don't feel any need to impress you.
Dinner!
Live like your Felix. It's great to be a cat.
Purina.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
Sun Bingo. Are you gonna bingo?
I think I'm gonna bingo.
Hey, Charlie 64, are you gonna bingo?
Hey, Sassy Sam. Yeah, I'm gonna bingo. Hey, Geordie George, are you gonna bingo?
Not right now, mate. Maybe later?
Okay. Has a 93, are you gonna bingo?
Yeah, I'm defo gonna bingo. Join the fun at Sun Bingo. Are you gonna bingo?
Visit bingoaliens.com/bingo for a cosmic range of bingo games, taking bingo to another dimension at bingoaliens.com/bingo.
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
Earlier on, but now the timing of this is being questioned just ahead of elections in the state of Bihar, and Rahul Gandhi there saying that something similar will be taking place as far as the next elections in the state of Bihar is concerned as well. Sunil Prabhu joining us, and Sunil, take us to the contents of the letter that the Election Commission has written to Rahul Gandhi.
Well, what is basically happening is that this hit and run that you write in the Indian Express and then not respond. So what the Election Commission has attempted to say is that we have reached out to the main opposition party and we are ready to discuss. We have, responded in a letter back to you. We have subsequently asked you for an appointment. We're ready to, meet at a mutual convenient time. Please remember, most national parties have met the Election Commission and really had a discussion with the Election Commission. The Congress, for best reasons known to them, keep accusing the Election Commission of not being completely even and biased, and that's the reason why they have stayed away from that meeting. It's in that backdrop in the recent days that we've seen Rahul Gandhi, for example, the time limit has been reduced. All those other options have been said. But be that as it may, I think it's important for a main opposition party, the Congress, whatever its misgivings with the Election Commission, to have a free and frank discussion with the Election Commission and sort this out if possible and try to ensure, as they pointed out, because even today we have seen Rahul Gandhi tweet about Fadnavis's, the Chief Minister's increase in percentage and all the other points. All that can be discussed with the Election Commission because it's quite a robust system and there is a system where there are checks and balances which clearly can ensure that there is a free and fair election.
Of course, Sunil, this really, it was, emphasizing that basically the entire poll exercise involves thousands of personnel, including booth-level agents appointed by political parties. And the question really that is being raised here is, why is it that Rahul Gandhi is not really even responding to a letter that is dated to the 12th of this month? Thank you so much, Sunil, for joining us with those details. Now, in a very disturbing case that's come to light is an elderly woman who was found lying in a pile of garbage in Mumbai. The woman has been suffering from skin cancer and she was allegedly dumped into the garbage by her own grandson. The police have launched an investigation and the search for the family. She has been now finally admitted into a hospital. This is a very shocking incident that has come to light. Radhika, my colleague Radhika Ramaswamy joining us from Mumbai. Radhika, take us through this incident which has got everyone, really in shock in regard to how is it that some family member can be shunned away, thrown into a pile of garbage because they are unwell. And this is really calling for people, asking for stricter action to be taken against those who neglect their family members.
Absolutely, strict action to be taken against those who neglect their family members is the echo, is the sentiment among people here. Very, very shocking incident from Mumbai. A 60-year-old woman was dumped in a pile of garbage in Goregaon East area. It was the locals who found her dumped there, after which police officials were informed. Police officials went to the spot, really rescued her, saved her from there, put her in a hospital. Later got to know that she was suffering from skin cancer. She had wounds all over her face. She was suffering, but despite her health, severe health complication and condition, she was dumped there. When asked, she said that it was her own grandson who literally dumped her there. So now the police is, of course, investigating what exactly transpired, what exactly happened, what were the issues as far as her family members are concerned. But as of now, all they have is her address where her family members are not present. So they're trying to ascertain whether what she said is true, whether it was indeed her family member who abandoned her, and also trying to ascertain who these people are. So yes, strict action will be taken and FIR will be lodged if it's found that it was indeed her family member who dumped her as a result of a health condition. But as far as her health is concerned, yes, she is hospitalized. She's undergoing treatment. Initially, she was not being taken into many of the hospitals. Finally, it was Cooper Hospital that admitted her there, despite she being accompanied by police. So that shows the state of affairs at this point in terms of, giving health care is concerned, and also, as far as the treatment of a 60-year-old woman in this situation goes. But yes, we'll have to see what transpires when the investigation comes out. But as of now, she's told police officials that it is indeed her grandson who did this to her. Certainly a very, very shocking case and a very inhuman one at that.
And she was also denied admission in various hospitals given her condition. It was finally Cooper Hospital, like you mentioned, that took her in. But what's really shocking is her family member, her own grandson, that, basically dumped his grandmother in this pile of garbage in Mumbai. Well, Radhika, stay with us for our next story as well. And one of Bollywood's biggest stars has just revealed that behind that swag, that stardom and that signature walk is pain. Salman Khan, who has revealed on Kapil Sharma's talk show, he's spoken about his serious health conditions that he has been battling with. We have Radhika Ramaswamy joining us to get us more. Radhika, take us through the disclosure that has been made. And, when we're talking about critical neurological diseases that the actor has been suffering from, and it has been a while, but it's finally the actor who has spoken about this, saying that the show must go on and that, he continues to break his bones in the name of his work, but work shouldn't suffer while he continues to, battle the symptoms of his disease.
Absolutely, it is quite tragic. Salman Khan undergoing some serious health complications, something he's opened up about in that candid conversation in that particular television show. He's spoken about multiple issues that he's been dealing with, all of them neurological in nature, one of them being brain aneurysm, which is sort of bulge in the brain that leads to stroke and also other complications as well, and also shooting pain across his body as a result of these neurological complications. So he's opened up about that, also going on to say that he's taking care of his health. Perhaps these are stress-induced and lifestyle-induced as well, but we know that Salman Khan had been undergoing a lot of personal issues, personal crisis in terms of his close friend Baba Siddiqui dying, and of course the threats that had been issued to him, because of which he was under a lot of scrutiny and limelight. He was in fact given immense security over the last couple of years. He was issued threats allegedly by Lawrence Bishnoi gang. There were multiple cases, multiple people arrested in connection to those cases as well. So yes, perhaps it is stress-induced is what several of the doctors are saying, considering what he went through over the last few months. And now really he's taking care of his health. He's doing his regular exercise. Of course, he's been synonymous with the fitness and a healthy lifestyle. So that is something he's continuing to do. And therefore, he will be able to sort of come out of what he's going through health-wise, is something said several of the experts and doctors have been saying. But certainly, very distressing news for Salman Khan fans, and he's of course been very open and vocal about the health conditions. And to know more, we have the special report that has been filed.
Salman Khan, a name synonymous with action, charisma and box office blockbusters. But few knew what the superstar was actually enduring behind the scenes, until now. On Kapil Sharma's talk show, Salman made a rare and vulnerable revelation. "I'm out here breaking my bones every day. Ribs are fractured. I'm working despite having a trigeminal neuralgia. There's an aneurysm in the brain, yet I'm still working. There's also an AV malformation and still I'm carrying on," the actor said, describing how he continues to work despite multiple serious conditions. His words left fans stunned, especially the mention of a brain aneurysm, a condition that could turn critical without warning. So what exactly is a brain aneurysm? Aneurysm is a condition where there is a weakness in the wall of the artery, which leads to the outpouching of the wall of an artery, creating a small balloon-like structure called an aneurysm. While brain aneurysms are relatively common, often discovered incidentally during imaging for other conditions, not all of them can rupture. However, when they do, the consequences are severe. One of the most alarming features of a ruptured aneurysm is the sudden intense headache, often described as the worst headache of one's life.
Brain aneurysm is in news because of Salman Khan's admission that he's suffering from it. But what is brain aneurysm? Brain aneurysm is a condition which is caused by weakness in the wall of arteries that carry blood to the brain, leading to an outpouching or a balloon-like structure from those arteries. Because the wall of the artery is stretched, these aneurysms are prone to rupture, and they are the commonest cause of non-traumatic subarachnoid hemorrhage in the world. About 2 to 5% people in India suffer from brain aneurysms, but mostly unruptured aneurysms go undiagnosed.
Salman also revealed he suffers from trigeminal neuralgia, a chronic pain condition affecting the nerve that carries sensation from the face to the brain. The pain is often described as stabbing electric shock-like jolts triggered even by mild activities like brushing or chewing. And if that wasn't enough, he also has an AV malformation, a rare abnormal tangle of blood vessels in the brain. Despite all this, Salman remains unstoppable, continuing his film shoots, hosting reality shows, and meeting fans. While fans often call him Bhai, this revelation shows the fight he carries within, not just on screen, but off it too. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Breaking news coming in regard to the Union Energy Ministry. They're agreeing to set up a nuclear power plant in the state of Bihar. A nuclear power plant will be set up in Bihar is what the Union Energy Minister Manohar Lal Khattar has gone on to say, that the Bihar government should set up a nuclear power plant and the central government is ready to help in that regard. So this is the state of Bihar that is, going to be getting set and ready for that first nuclear power plant that is going to be taking place. Bihar is set to become the home as far as the eastern part of India is concerned for the first nuclear power plant, with plans to generate energy from uranium as well as others in the state of Bihar. Prabhakar, my colleague, joining us. Prabhakar, get us all the details of what really transpired during that power ministry conference that took place with the state there demanding nuclear power, and this is something that's coming up just ahead of the elections in the state.
Exactly, and that becomes very, very significant because the elections is around the corner, and Manohar Lal Khattar, who happens to be the Union Power Minister, is in Patna today, holding a meeting with the energy ministers of different states, especially the ministers from the eastern states, that is Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, and Andaman Nicobar. So all the states, all these states have been represented by their power ministers and also the secretaries of power of various states, and there is a regional meeting of the power ministry which is going on at Patna as we speak, and the Bihar government had put up a proposal, rather demanded that the Bihar is facing a power crisis, and it needs a nuclear power plant as far as the capacity of the power consumption in the state is concerned. And to that demand, the union minister agreed and said that the union government, especially the union power ministry, is all willing to help out Bihar in setting up a power plant. And he gave a consent in principle that Bihar would very soon have a nuclear power plant. The modalities of this has not been discussed yet. That would be discussed at a later stage. But in principle, the Union Power Ministry has agreed that Bihar would have a nuclear power plant as far as the setting of a new plant is concerned. And as to whether the center or the state, what is the proportion of the money which they would invest, these modalities would be discussed at a later stage.
Those finer details will emerge at a later point in time. Thank you so much, Prabhakar, for getting us breaking news of nuclear power plant that has now been announced. This will be the first nuclear power plant as far as the eastern part of the country is concerned, and Bihar all set to get that first nuclear power plant. Now, after repeated delays, it's NASA that's gone on to announce that Indian astronaut group captain Shubhanshu Shukla could fly to space, and that's going to be taking place tomorrow. This is the latest new date that has been announced by NASA. This is the shortest turnaround time from announcing a new date and the targeted launch that NASA has gone on to talk about. This marks the 6th new date that NASA has finally announced. Now, do remember, this is going to be NASA along with the Axiom Space and the SpaceX that are now targeting tomorrow, which is going to be taking place Indian Standard Time at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 12:01 to be precise, as far as the launch is concerned of the 4th private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. This is the Axiom Mission 4 that's going to be taking off, and this is going to be taking place tomorrow after multiple delays that we have seen in the NASA mission. And this is now NASA announcing the shortest turnaround when it comes to the Axiom 4 mission, in which it will be Shubhanshu Shukla's mission that's likely to take place tomorrow at precisely 12:01 p.m. from the Kennedy Space Center.
In 1984, an Indian Air Force pilot left Earth and entered legend. Rakesh Sharma's flight into space wasn't just a mission, it was a movement. 41 years later, another Indian pilot is strapping in and lifting off. From Vows to SpaceX, from Sharma to Shukla, from nostalgia to next gen. He launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome on 2nd April 1984 aboard Soyuz T-11. He trained in Russia, he spoke in Hindi, and he floated in space, 300 kilometers above Earth. Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma became the first Indian in space and instantly a national hero. And then came that exchange which became a legend.
ऊपर से भारत कैसा दिखता है आपको?
जी मैं बगैर किसी झिझक के कह सकता हूँ कि सारे जहां से अच्छा।
सारे जहां से अच्छा।
That wasn't just an answer, it became India's space anthem. 41 years of waiting. India didn't stop exploring space. We launched rockets, we reached Mars, we built satellites. But for 41 years, no Indian returned to space. No one followed Sharma until now. Meet Shubhanshu Shukla, an IAF test pilot just like Sharma, fiercely trained, laser-focused, and now India's newest astronaut. He's flying on the Axiom Mission 4, a commercial space flight but powered by SpaceX and NASA. Axiom calls him wicked smart, India calls him a comeback. Let's compare the journey. Sharma flew on Suez manual systems, Russian commands. Shukla will fly on Crew Dragon touchscreen controls, AI-backed monitoring. In 1984, we had 1 astronaut and 1 mission. In 2025, we have 1 goal to become a space power. Subhanshu Shukla will lift off from the Kennedy Space Center. But for us, this is personal. He's not just flying to space, he's carrying the weight of 4 decades of waiting, the hope of 1.4 billion people, and the pride of a flying legacy. This isn't just a space mission, it's a national moment, a bridge between past and future. Rakesh Sharma opened the door, Subhanshu Shukla walked through it. Rakesh Sharma told us India looked beautiful from space. Subhanshu Shukla will look down and see how far we've come. From Sare Jahan Se Acha to Sare Jahan Se Aage.
In other news, at the Adani Group's annual general meeting, Gautam Adani emphasized the Adani Group's role in shaping India's future. He began by paying a tribute to the troops who guarded our borders and hailed Operation Sindoor. He also spoke about, India valuing peace. But if someone shows us an eye, we know how to respond, is what Gautam Adani had to say. Let's listen in.
I stand here today not as a chairman, but as a fellow citizen, humbled by the silent sacrifices of those who guard our borders, our families, and our dignity. This year, during Operation Sindoor, our brave men and women in uniform stood tall, not for fame, not for medals, but for duty. Their courage reminded us that peace is never free. It is earned. And that the freedom to dream, to build, and to lead stands firmly on the shoulder of those who protect.
Gautam Adani there, healing Operation Sindoor. And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. My colleague Gauri Dwivedi will be here with the very latest on the other side. But for latest updates and breaking news, don't forget to subscribe to our NDTV YouTube channel as well.
How long's it been then? We met about 8 years back. What? Yeah, serious relationship.
He has this way of looking into my eyes.
Knows how to treat me. Gentle, considerate.
Did I tell you he owns his own business?
I think he's going to pop the question.
Better or worse?
Better.
Our opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently, he's seeing half the town.
Book an appointment today.
It's great to be helping out before my first grandchild arrives. And after having a few repairs myself, I need to make sure they'll all be protected. Which reminds me,
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
Wow, that money could help with funeral costs or as a gift for my grandkid. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
He's going to be named after his granddad.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our UK team on 0800 470 4444 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Whether you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later. And pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
Dealing with my lot means making smart choices. And with our family growing, I want to protect the life we've built. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my husband pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee, you'll have peace of mind.
I'll go ahead.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 5753 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good afternoon, viewers. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Over the course of the next 60 minutes, we'll get you all the big stories, including the latest that's unfolding in the Middle East with the ceasefire all set to now completely break apart. But first up, the headlines as always. Israel accuses Iran of ceasefire violations. Israeli Defense Minister orders powerful strikes on Tehran. US President Donald Trump says the ceasefire between Iran and Israel is in effect and urges both nations not to violate the same. Even as the ceasefire is in effect, Iran fires multiple missiles at Israel right ahead of the ceasefire, killing 7 in southern Israel. NDTV reports from the missile-hit region of Sheva, Iran's missiles have killed 7 people in Israel. NDTV cameras capture the destruction in Israel right here for you viewers. India's superstar shares health challenges. Salman Khan battles brain aneurysm. We come back, we talk more on what this means and what can we do in terms of the health condition. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla will head to space tomorrow. The 24-hour countdown begins for Axiom 4 mission. Viewers, the latest that's unfolding in the Middle East is that Israel has ordered attacks on Iran after ceasefire violation. That's the latest updates. If you're tuning in right now, viewers, there was a ceasefire agreement that was thrashed out by Donald Trump, who announced it first. Hours into it, the Iranian missiles were seen across several cities in Israel. And while the ceasefire was in effect, fresh barrage of missiles have struck
in several parts of Israel. Now, what does this mean in terms of the ceasefire agreement? Well, Israel has said that it is going to retaliate as well, respond with strikes as well. Now, whatever happened to the peace agreement, well, it stands almost in deep question right now, given the fact that all parties are unlikely, or at this stage are unlikely to follow it. To know more about what this means and to understand what's really the situation on ground, my colleagues Sheva and Ankit Tyagi have spoken and bring out this report. Listen in.
Ankit, it looks like that ceasefire has completely vaporized. Nobody knows what Trump or Iran were really talking about, but any window of opportunity to wind down tensions appears to be straight out the window. You've seen the biggest damage in Beersheba, and Israel has just announced a big counter-retaliation, Ankit.
Absolutely. It just took 2.5 hours from 7 a.m. when the ceasefire was supposedly in place, and since then, continuous blaring of the sirens here in Israel to, in fact, throw that ceasefire out of the window, Shiv, as you described it. But very quickly, let me show you, from this vantage point that we are in, the cost of the war. And this is exactly what happened, which was supposedly the last counter-attack that Iran had launched here in Israel to try and diffuse tensions post this. But this apartment building behind me took the direct hit, and at this moment what you are seeing is a massive cleanup operation which is going on by the soldiers of the IDF. I can see a full unit in combat gear. It's heartbreaking. Somebody just tossed a soft toy, a teddy bear. If you can see on my screens at this moment, that soldier, that lady, in fact, taking it away. It must have been in somebody's house, in the buildings that were impacted, and which has just come out. Now imagine the death and destruction which has taken place, which was supposedly the last few hours of the hostilities, and this tells you how lives that people had built. This is a proper residential area here in Beersheba, with buildings after buildings, high rises all across, and what you see at this moment is what used to be a building. This is all that remained of the direct impact that took place on this 8-story building, which was in the two apartments right under the terrace, the roof, and both of them have collapsed. Apartments under that have also collapsed, and what you are seeing is the signs of destruction that took place in this residential area in the barrage that in fact was witnessed a while back. Now, Shiv, while you are saying that there is announcement of retaliation from Israel as well, the hope here was that till 7 p.m. There would be cessation of the hostilities, and after that, of course, the Israeli government is going to make some big announcement. Now, all that seems to be at this moment standing on a very, very fragile ground, and we will have to wait and see. It once again will prove that somehow the announcement, or the rushed announcement, possibly by the President of the United States, was without going into the finer details with both the Israeli side and the Iranian side, so that this could have been a longer, peace, at least between both the sides who have been involved in these hostilities for the last 12 days, Shiv.
That window of opportunity has completely ended right now, and this seems to be the third big occasion, Ankit, in the last few days and weeks, where something that Trump has actually announced has turned out to be completely the opposite. He had talked about peace in Russia and Ukraine, and we saw that deep strike conducted by Ukraine. He talked about a de-escalation between Iran and Israel. That didn't happen. He talked about a Nobel Peace Prize, and then he went and bombed Iran. This doesn't seem to be a season of consistency as far as the American leadership is concerned. But the exchange between Iran and Israel at this point of time comes a day after an attack on a U.S. base in Qatar. At least on that front, things have sort of wound down, Ankit. The Iran versus U.S. element of this entire escalation, that appears to have stopped. There's no forward movement there. All the action is where you are.
Absolutely, you are bang on. That it also looked like that this whole thing that happened yesterday, with multiple U.S. bases coming under the fire from the Iranian missiles, which largely were, in fact, diffused and were neutralized by the air defenses, as Donald Trump said. It more or less was somewhat a show that was put up so that both Iran and United States actually could get an off-ramp of this crisis. They did not want to continue. Donald Trump knew that he's not going to get that sort of support in America if they actually have to put boots on grounds or have to be drawn in this conflict. Remember, he came to power this time saying that he's going to bring United States out of all the global conflicts that the United States is involved in. And then, of course, with bombing of those bases, nuclear bases and installations in Iran, it was absolutely the opposite that Mr. Trump has promised to his constituents. But it's after what happened yesterday, there was some sort of flimsy expectation that peace may, in fact, be ensued. And if that would have happened, Donald Trump would have, in fact, gone to the town saying that he has once again resolved another conflict, another crisis. But with what has happened this morning and what continues to happen now, because, in northern Israel, there have been sirens which have gone on again. And as you are reporting that the Israeli army, the IDF, has already said that they are engaging in counter-retaliation in retaliation of these attacks from Iran. It seems that the opportunity and this little glimmer of hope has completely now been thrown, or at least is buried under the rubble of where I'm standing, Shiv, where you are seeing these visuals of destruction and death which has come in from Israel at this moment, where a massive operation from the rescuers is still on, which it will tell you that, that 7 p.m. deadline, not only that deadline now stands on its head. We now don't know the current session, the current round of hostilities, for how long will it go on, because it has already been 12 days. And if this continues, if Israel retaliates, then of course we can expect retaliation from the Iranian side as well. It's the domestic audience for which at this moment the entire play of war is going on. Where is the full stop is something that is anybody's guess.
Ankit, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to urge you to move your position, because I know it isn't safe. There are rescue and relief operations happening, but your safety is paramount. So we're going to ask you to, move as much as possible. But a very quick final question before I let you go, Ankit, is this. You are in Israel at a time when Iranian missiles are landing at locations right behind you. That's number one. Number two, Israel is about to retaliate, and therefore this is a country that you're reporting from that is on the highest state of military alert at this point of time. Air bases, military bases, drone bases, which are not very far from where you are in Beersheba, will also be on a very high state of alert. But most importantly, like you said, the death toll in Israel as a result of these Iranian strikes is something that has never actually been seen before. Iranian attacks with missiles and drones have usually targeted areas that are not population centers. This time they have specifically targeted population centers, and that's why things are different. And that's why what you're seeing on the ground hasn't been seen for many, many decades, Ankit.
Absolutely. This time, there have been, while you were speaking about this, I just went back to a day before where in Tel Aviv, there was, we showed you that shopping center in the residential area where the attack took place. And I spoke to one person who was taking the stuff out from his daughter's residence, which was impacted. And this is exactly what he said. He said, we are ready to pay the price in terms of the buildings. They can be rebuilt. But if lives are lost, this is not something that the Israelis are ready to stand by with. And that is exactly what has happened this morning. And also during this entire conflict, I will have to once recheck, but if I stand correct, if I remember correctly, the death toll throughout the 12 days now in Israel stands over 25. So between 25 to 29 is the number of dead this time in this conflict has been. And that takes a huge amount of toll and also pressure as far as the government is concerned for any kind of step back. the Iranian, of course, there have been retaliations and there have been a lot of destruction in Iran as well. But reporting from the country where I am in at this moment, that it becomes a very important figure for any sort of decision to go forward, which can be taken by Benjamin Netanyahu. Just earlier, just before these raid sirens, the alert sirens were sounded off in northern Israel, there was expectation from the Prime Minister's office. A full statement came in that objectives have been achieved. The Prime Minister is going to make a statement. He will speak to the people of Israel. Now that seems he would be in a very, very difficult position if even he was thinking of coming out and announcing some sort of ceasefire with what has happened, Shiv.
Ankit, a small final question before I let you go. The people that you're speaking to, the rescue staff, the first responders who are there in all of those places right now, military reservists that you're seeing, come out of vacation or wherever they are to serve their country. That is one thing you're seeing everywhere in Israel. I notice it's there in almost every frame that you're sending us as well. This is clearly a country that is in its highest state of alert, where citizens are pitching in as well.
I can tell you one thing, and this was my first time in Israel, and that too under the most trying circumstances. I have never seen any other place where people are so prepared for a situation like this. Nobody wants a war, but, like we go, since morning, 4 times we had to run to the bomb shelters, and within moments, as soon as the raid siren goes off, people are back doing what they are. Every location of impact that I have been to, apart from, of course, the government agencies, the reservists, the forces, and everybody else, there are a group of volunteers that you will see set up tents, helping people, giving them, directions, helping them clean out their houses or whatever is left of their houses. So it is a country which has seen conflicts after conflicts, and the result of that, of course, is, yes, there is tension, yes, there is fear, but it more or less has become part of life, and that is why they are not worried, in a sense, with the kind of impact that it is taking. The only question was that people are extremely, extremely, serious about the death toll. Once the numbers of the dead start coming in, that's where the pressure starts building in. The buildings being damaged largely don't have the same impact. So this is, the country at the highest state of alert, and where the people were possibly today hoping that this is going to result in some sort of de-escalation with what has happened now. And like you are pointing out, IDF is preparing for some sort of retaliation towards Iran. That window for the people, those who are hoping that it is not going to be a long-drawn Gaza type of situation, that very little glimmer of hope seems to be completely under the rubble of this building that I'm standing here.
Ankit, amidst all this unfolding chaos, you're doing a terrific job. Stay safe. We will keep coming back to you. Sheva is the epicenter of the most amount of destruction that is taking place today. Ankit, as always, the first and only reporter on ground bringing you that, and will continue to bring you a factual look on NDTV's cameras of this this riveting, suspenseful and unfolding story between Iran and Israel. Iran, remember, has announced a powerful strike on Tehran, the capital of Iran. When that's going to happen, we will let you know. This is a live story that we're tracking right now in real time.
There have been 4 alerts which have been sounded off here. In fact, what we can confirm is that one missile did hit a residential building in Beersheba. As I speak, you can hear the air raid sirens going in. So I will have to make my way out and see if we can find us a safe place. This is the announcement being made. Listen into it. We are coming to you live from this location which was hit in Beersheba, a residential high-rise. Ruins of this building tell you the cost that this war, the 12-day war so far, has taken.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000, whether it's for home improvements, new appliances, a car, or for some of life's big moments. So even if you've had problems with credit before, Evlo looks beyond your credit score and always takes a case-by-case approach. Visit evlo.co.uk to get your conditional decision in minutes. Evlo, your future in your hands.
Guess who's coming to dinner with Felix? Robbie Williams.
Cats do what they want when they want to. Don't feel any need to impress you.
Dinner!
Live like your Felix. It's great to be a cat.
Purina.
I'm in. Okay, now, you can have a great first day. I promise, all right? Give me that.
Your donations helped 3D print his heart to guide his surgery and saved his life with a groundbreaking innovation. And the future breakthrough that could cure her is closer than ever. Help us turn science fiction into reality and save more lives like hers. Donate to the British Heart Foundation now.
Let's play. Someone here is about to find out they've won Lotto, but who's the millionaire going to be? Maybe that guy, wondering, are crackers with the biscuits or the crisps? All in, buying a birthday card for a cat? Okay then. George is a millionaire. Get yourself a coat with sleeves. Lotto makes 2 millionaires a week on average. Will you be the next millionaire?
Play tombola.
Yes! I've won £11!
All right, calm down. It's just a bit of bingo. Open for fun.
How long's it been then? We met about 8 years back. What? Yeah, serious relationship.
He has this way of looking into my eyes.
Knows how to treat me. Gentle, considerate.
Did I tell you he owns his own business?
I think he's going to pop the question.
Better or worse?
Better.
Our opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently, he's seeing half the town.
Book an appointment today.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years' experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
Whether you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later. And pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
Test. The test match is on the edge. India has set up a very thrilling final day. England needs only 350 runs to win this game, whereas India needs 10 wickets. Will baseball be at play? What is the ground going to look like? Because what we understand is that England has used a heavy roller and they will be tempted to go the baseball way. Batters and Bumrah set up the test match for India. But today, on the 5th day of the test match, as the test hangs in a balance, there will be an English test for the Indian bowlers. To talk more about how the match is expected to pan out, we have Boria Majumdar joining us from the Leeds cricket ground. Boria, thank you very much for joining us. For a 350 to be scored on the final day, the weather has to be conducive. How does it look like right now? We are about 7-8 minutes from the start of the final day.
Firstly, let me give you an update on the weather. It is still pretty dark, it's still pretty cloudy, though it has brightened up a little bit in the last 20-30 minutes. But that side, which is the other side of the stadium, you can see is still pretty dark and gloomy. That is what it has been from early morning. The Yorkshire Met Department prediction is for rain at 11, prediction is for rain at 12 o'clock. So, and now the wind is also starting to pick up. This was not this kind of wind even half an hour, 45 minutes back when I was doing Hindi on your platform. So one can sense these are not great conditions for batting at all. The sun has peaked out, but this is just going to be a fleeting sun. There is chance of rain. These are difficult conditions to bat on.
Interesting, you say it's difficult conditions to bat on. We have seen the team being over-dependent on Jasprit Bumrah in the first innings. Who could you say will be the perfect foil for Bumrah in the conditions of the day-to-day?
India will have to support Jasprit Bumrah. 350 on the last day is a lot of runs. Jasprit Bumrah, there was a news whether on his injury or not. He's very much out there, very much out there. We clarified it with the BCCI media team. He's part of India's team huddle. He's right out there, and there's absolutely no reason why Jasprit Bumrah will not spearhead the attack, and the others will have to put their hands up and back him up. You can see slightly brightening up, but these are good conditions for Mohammad Siraj, for Prasidh Krishna, for Shardul Thakur, even Ravindra Jadeja using those footmarks. I do think there is enough and more opportunity for India, and they should be able to use it.
Right. Boria, let me also ask you about all the talks about Bazball and how the English cricket team has used a heavy roller on the pitch. Do you see Bazball being pressed on the final day, in the final session?
If you ask me who wins, I will say India at this point in time, definite favourites. If the rain holds off, if there is rain interruption, there will certainly be no 90 overs of game. If there is, England will say, okay, 4 runs and over. But these are tough conditions to bat. I will say 60-40 India going into this final day. First session, absolutely. If England gets up to a flyer different, these are tough conditions, boss. The wind has picked up. If India gets 2-3 wickets with a new ball, first session, certainly India. If you ask me, 60-40 India.
Well, the wind has picked up. Doesn't look like Boria has been able to get my question. The question was around Bazball, but he does say that there is a prediction of India winning 60-40, England winning 40%, because you see England has to make 350 runs on the final day, which is a tall task, and India has to get 10 wickets. But what really happened in this test match for the day 5 to become so thrilling? There have been 5 centuries scored by the Indians in this test match, 2 of them alone by Rishabh Pant. Let's have a look at how day 4 panned out and what led to a very, very exciting final day. The day truly belonged to India. KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant putting up a box office show. While Rahul brought out some majestic stroke plays, displaying calm, on the other end was all power, all emotion, Pant opening his account with boundaries in both the innings. He mixed caution with aggression to bring up his 16th test half-century in 83 balls, then started rushing towards his second successive test done in the Leeds test.